One of my speaking of you being a sex worker,
Yes.
didn't you one time do like stripping on the Mornington Peninsula?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I did, and the reason it came up is because after a festival show, this guy came up. He was on a date with a girl, and I knew the guy. I didn't know the girl, and then they both came up to me after the show, and she was like, "Hey, I remember you from when you used to work as a stripper." And I was like, "Oh, then you don't remember me because I never worked as a stripper." She was like, "Yeah, you did." I'm like, "No, I definitely didn't." She was like, "Well, you definitely looked like you. It was in Mornington. We were at a hen's night. He did this crazy dance. Or don't you remember?" I'm like, "No, that never happened." She's like, "Oh, well, we had this guy who looked like you, did this dance, but he actually fucked it. And he fell over while he was dancing. And it was like so humiliating for him that he picked up a guitar that was nearby and he tried to play some music to make amends for it. But even that was even worse than the dancing. And it was so humiliating for him. But lucky it wasn't you. But as she was telling the story, I'm like, oh, shit. Yeah, that was me.
As you were saying that, I'm like, this is sounding more and more like Joseph.
Yeah, I was just like thinking, like, man, that's exactly what Joseph would do to try and make that situation
I'll win
better.
it back with the guitar.
Do
Just
you
hammering.
even play guitar?
I do, but she was hammering my. I was like, I thought I did pretty good with that guitar. She was like, he didn't know what he was doing.
But how the fuck do you end up stripping and then forgetting it?
That's a good question. I had a friend who was working as a stripper, and then he couldn't do the job. Not a stripper, a topless waiter.
Yeah.
He couldn't do the job in Mornington, and then he gave me like a call, said, "Can you do it?
Yeah.
Be $100." I got there. They said, "We'll give you an extra $100. Maybe I don't know how much it was." To if you do a striptease for us. I said, "Sure." I took off my pants. I'm like,
Honestly, not enough.
there you go.
Fully naked?
No. Well, so I took off I went to take off. Sorry, I took off the bow tie because you're just wearing a bow tie. I'm like, there you go, ladies. Like, no, keep going.
Yeah.
And then I went to like do a dance and like literally fell over. They're like, don't worry about it.
How did you fall over?
I was trying to be like, so what do you want me to do? Just dance. I'm like, bit of a wriggle and a jiggle and just hit the deck.
I can't, like that, I can imagine you being in that situation. Like, you know, kind of doing it. Imagine you.
I'd nail it.
No.
What do you mean?
You on a dance floor,
Yeah.
it makes me feel uncomfortable.
Mate, but add in me taking off my clothes. Now you're horny.
But guys who do it well, they do it fucking well.
Just think you're too long to
I've been
strip.
to male strip shows. They're like impressive.
Yeah.
Because Elliot Loney used to MC them, so he took me to one.
You'd
just
be
to
better
experience
as the
it.
pole.
Yeah, that's what I was there for when Elliot took me. I just stood there like this, and
You
the
were
boys
subbing
danced
in.
around me. Bit of fire breathing.
Was that
backflips.
what was that he was hosting?
It was some male review that was like brilliant business model where they just would get like literally 20 bachelorette parties on one night, and then they would have like a whole lineup of different male strippers, and there were gymnast strippers, fire breathing strippers,
Love that.
regular like fireman, policeman strippers, like so impressive. Like men have to do a lot to impress women, even while stripping. Like you gotta. I've never seen a female stripper who knows how to do a backflip and then breathe fire. Like that's so unnecessary. She's like, why would I do that? I have tits.
Yeah, that's true.
That's very funny. What's the Channing Tatum film?
Magic Mike.
Magic Mike, because they were doing a live show,
Yeah.
and I got asked to audition for that as the host.
Yes, that's what Elliot was doing.
Not
so he
as
was not
Mike.
stripping. And
Eh?
Not as Michael.
Not maybe as
Hang on, was the guy called Mike? I never saw it.
I assume.
I think that's Channing.
Channing.
Channing
What's his
Tatum.
name? Channing Tatum.
Imagine, how could you have a more handsome name than Channing Tatum? Here's my friend Channing Tatum. Before I even look at him, I know that guy's really
Oh,
handsome.
his name may as well be Chad Big Slong.
Yeah.
Because like that's all I hear when I hear Channing Tatum.
He's
Channing.
I did an audition for Channing Tatum for this very project.
Okay.
So I did. There was
You had to audition in front of Channing Tatum.
yeah.
You just forgot his name.
Hang on, you've done an audition in front of Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
Every fucking time I see you, you have like 30 stories of weird shit
It
you've
was
done.
it was a Skype audition.
Right.
for Channing Tatum.
It's so weird. I asked you right before we started the episode. I was like, "So, do you have any celeb spots? Like, we could bring back celeb spots." And you were like, "No." I think I saw Ryan Gosling once in East Village. Not once. We were like, "Oh yeah, I had to strip and or we'll do whatever."
Before you get into it, Joseph.
this is not his celeb spot.
Seeing the person you know, and they're doing some really weird shit. You know the Luke and Lewis show, and then talk about it.
So there was an audition for Magic Mike to host it.
Yeah.
And it was a really pretty lame script. I didn't want to do it. And I was in the outback in Western Australia doing some rural gig.
And it's just like a live show in front of heaps of
It was
women.
the Magic Mike show was going to be pretty much that. It was going to be a tour around Australia, and you would go to Vegas to do the training with,
cool.
with Channing, and
That's cool.
who is the director producer of it.
Yeah.
And
See, he's so sexy that he can train you to be more sexy. You know?
well, I wasn't going to be a dancer. I was just going to host the show.
Yes.
And then I did this audition in maybe South Melbourne somewhere, and there was like 5 American women, and I was so like I hated it so much. When I did the audition, I told them I'd been in the outback, and because they were all American, I'm like, "Oh, ladies, sorry I didn't get time to learn the lines. I've just been in the outback, no Wi-Fi." They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, you were in the outback? What are you talking about?" I'm like, there's a place called Ravensthorpe. It's about 8 hours east of Perth, in the middle of nowhere. They're like, "Oh my God, amazing."
You've already got the role.
I'm like, there's only 300 people in the town. They're divided because a guy's come in there. He wants to build a big lolly shop. And a lot of the people don't want a big lolly shop, but they think it's going to put it on the map. So some people do want the big lolly shop. They're like, "Wow, fascinating." You got a call back. And I'd sort of just like, ended up being like a stand-up gig. You're just like talking to them and just riffing. And then they're like, "Okay, you passed that stage." They flew me up to Sydney, and then there was maybe like 20 people in the room, but Channing Tatum on the Skype call. And he's like getting you, he's like, "Hey dude, just do some dances." And there was the choreographer from the film was in the room.
Yeah.
And she would do a few moves with you, like very basic stuff.
Yeah.
I told the Mornington Peninsula story.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Not impressing me, dude."
We didn't like that one. On
Hey,
Channing.
like,
Should have pulled out the guitar.
he
Alright.
was laughing, but yeah. But anyway, I didn't get that gig either. But anyway, but I did get the India gig instead.
Every one of your stories is just ends and is like, but yeah, anyway.
Anyway,
I didn't explain it.
they rejected me.
Yeah.
That fizzled.
It was. That's why I wasn't beforehand of like, I've got this hot Channing Tatum story.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm glad we didn't plan for that.
Yeah.